Hi guys, on the eve of the anniversary of the attack by Hamas on Israel and the IDF's war on the Palestinians in return, Western politicians should be calling louder than ever for a ceasefire, but instead we're hearing Tory MPs dismiss the idea of a cessation of attacks. Andrew Mitchell, the Shadow Foreign Secretary, told Laura Kuenssberg on her show that a ceasefire is not the way to go, but instead to demand that Iran and its proxies abide by UN resolutions. However, there's a major problem with that.
What's your assessment of the situation? You know, when you were in Cabinet, you were International Development Secretary, you've seen many of these types of crises, but perhaps not one as dangerous as this?
Well, it is a very dangerous crisis in a world that in recent years has become more dangerous than at any time in our lifetime. But I think if you focus on what is happening in Lebanon, you see that Israel absolutely has the right of self-defense. No government would allow an internationally prescribed terrorist organization to sit there lobbing rockets over the border and moving its population, killing its population more.
Okay, first of all, does Lebanon have the right to defend itself? Now, I'm not saying it should or it shouldn't. I'm just curious that journalists never raise this question. Does Lebanon have the right to defend itself? Because, yes, what Hezbollah is doing is they're sitting in Lebanon and they're launching rockets into Israel. And Israel is responding to that. But as we've seen, people who are not connected in any way to Hezbollah are being killed and injured as well. Lebanese who have nothing to do with that organization are being not targeted, but being regarded as collateral damage. So do they have the right to defend themselves? Does Lebanon have the right to defend itself? Nobody ever asked this question, and I don't know why.
More than 60,000 Israelis have had to move south. And the right approach is not a ceasefire, actually. The right approach is for Hezbollah and its Iranian masters to abide by United Nations Security Council Resolution 1701 and pull back behind the Litani River. And
the problem with UN resolutions is that neither side is respecting them. The Iranians are not respecting the ones directed at them, and the Israelis are not respecting the ones directed at them. So what's the point in talking about UN resolutions if neither side is respecting those UN resolutions? Like, you want the war to end, but you don't want a ceasefire. Like, a ceasefire is the first step. A ceasefire is not going to result directly in peace, but it means, okay, both sides can find an alternative way to resolve their differences, for example, through diplomacy. Now, a Jordanian minister has stepped forward and said, look, Israel's primary concern, it seems, is security. And we, with other Arab nations, will guarantee Israel's security if we can stop this, if we can have a ceasefire, if we can stop this war. But the response has been no, at least so far. So at least if you want to get to a stage where you're speaking to each other, you need to have a ceasefire.
And that would end the conflict that's taking place in Lebanon. But as I say, the British government, imagine if the British government were in the position of the Israeli government. We would not stand for that. And Israel has the right of self-defense. And
I hate these comparisons because they don't make any sense. Because the situation in the Middle East is completely different to the British government. Like, who would he be describing as attacking Britain? Is it the IRA in Northern Ireland? Well, then, if you were to follow through with that analogy, then what Israel would be doing, or the British government would be doing in his analogy, would be bombing the hell out of Belfast, levelling it, irrespective of there are people who agree with the IRA or disagree with the IRA.
And is exercising that.
There is a sense at the moment that many people are holding their breath and wondering how Israel will retaliate against Iran, which we expect possibly in the next couple of days. We asked earlier Peter Kyle if the UK could or should be involved in any retaliation and help Israel in that attack. In your view, should the UK military help Israel in an attack on Iran?
Well, the UK military personnel and weapons have been helping Israel stop the incoming rockets on 2 occasions now.
But this is a different question.
That Iran has fired. I'm not going to second guess what the Prime Minister and the government will be doing and saying to Israel at the moment. But I would have thought that in view of what is happening in Lebanon, in view of what is happening in Gaza, it's right for a very strong position to be taken over defence of Israel. But I think we've got to move to what Sir Malcolm Rifkin described so well as the opportunity for people to lift their eyes towards peace.
Okay, we're not getting anywhere near peace. That's the problem. See, and this would be a very politically unpopular move, I would imagine, if the Royal Air Force were getting involved in attacks on Iran on Israel's behalf. I think the public would be very much against this idea, because this would be a situation where RAF pilots would be at risk. Some of them may lose their lives, not defending Britain, but defending Israel. And this is a war between Israel and Iran. And I think the role of the West is not really to get involved in picking a side. We should be trying to facilitate peace. We should be putting pressure on both sides to come to the negotiating table and end this conflict. As was pointed out by the Jordanian minister, Israel wants security. Arab nations want peace with Israel in many cases. So they have to come together, guarantee peace for Israel, and then work towards improving the conditions and the situation for the Palestinians. There are a whole range of problems here, but they can't be solved by attacking others. They have to be resolved through political and diplomatic means. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.